This is a powerful, emotional story arc that fits the genre perfectly. To make it feel real and not like an AI summary, I will focus on the micro-interactions. The silence at the dinner table, the specific financial details, and the crushing weight of conditional love. Here is Part 1. Title: The Blood Investment, Part 1. Chapter 1. The Letter on the Mantle. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, heavy. The kind of envelope that changes the trajectory of a life. I stood in the hallway of our sprawling, 6-bedroom home in Connecticut, holding it with trembling hands. The Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Leo! I called out, my voice cracking with excitement.
Leo, come downstairs.
My son appeared at the top of the stairs. He was 19, lanky, with messy dark hair and eyes that always seemed a little too old for his face. We had adopted Leo when he was 4 years old from a foster system that had already chewed him up. It took him 2 years to speak a full sentence to us. It took him 5 years to stop hiding food under his pillow. But now he was valedictorian, a chess champion, and, if the envelope in my hand meant what I thought it meant, a future doctor. He walked down slowly, taking the envelope from me. He didn't tear it open like a normal teenager. He slid his finger under the flap carefully. He read the letter. He didn't smile. He just exhaled, a long, shaky breath, and handed it to me. I got in, he whispered. Pre-med track. Biochem major. Oh my God! I screamed, pulling him into a hug. He went stiff for a second. Old habits die hard. But then he hugged me back, burying his face in my shoulder. I knew it. I knew you could do it. It's expensive, Mom, he mumbled into my sweater. Tuition, room, board. It's a lot. Don't you worry about that, I said, pulling back and gripping his shoulders. Your father and I have prepared for this. We have the portfolio. We have the savings. This is what we work for. At that moment, the front door opened. Robert walked in. My husband, the CEO of Sterling & Co., a boutique investment firm. He was a man who measured the world in ROI, return on investment. He looked at us, me crying, Leo looking pale, and frowned as he set his briefcase on the marble table. What's broken? He asked, checking his Rolex. Nothing is broken, Robert, I said, beaming. Leo got into Hopkins. Robert paused. He looked at Leo. There was no pride in his eyes, just a cold, calculating assessment. Hopkins, Robert repeated. Expensive. It's the best program in the country, I defended. It's where he needs to be. Robert sighed, loosening his tie. Let's discuss it at dinner. I need a scotch. He walked past Leo without touching him. He didn't say congratulations. He didn't shake his hand. He walked past him like Leo was a piece of furniture that had been placed in an inconvenient spot. I saw the light go out in Leo's eyes. Chapter 2. The Dinner Table Audit. Dinner in the Sterling household was never a casual affair. It was a board meeting with silverware. We sat at the long mahogany table. Robert sat at the head, cutting his steak with surgical precision. Leo sat to his right, pushing peas around his plate. So, Robert said, wiping his mouth with a linen napkin. Let's talk numbers. Hopkins, you're looking at what? $80,000 a year? Plus living expenses? Books? Lops? It's roughly $90,000 a year, Dad, Leo said softly. But I can get a work-study job for the spending money. I just need help with the tuition. 4 years of undergrad, Robert calculated, staring at the ceiling. Then 4 years of med school. Then residency where you earn peanuts. We're talking about a $500,000 commitment. Minimum. It's an investment in his future, Robert, I interjected, my hand shaking as I reached for my wine glass. He's going to be a doctor, a surgeon. He'll be able to pay us back if that's what you're worried about. Robert chuckled. It wasn't a nice sound. Pay us back? Doctors don't make real money until they're 40, Elena. And that's assuming he doesn't flunk out. I have a 4.0 GPA, Leo said, his voice tightening. I haven't gotten a B since middle school. Academic smarts are different from grit. Robert dismissed him. He took a sip of wine and looked Leo dead in the eye. Here's the thing, Leo. I've been looking at my estate planning, reevaluating my assets. I didn't like where this was going. Robert, stop. No, Elena, he's a man. He needs to hear this. Robert leaned forward. I am happy to support you, Leo, within reason. Community college. State school. A trade. A trade. I snapped. He got into Hopkins. But, Robert continued, ignoring me, I am not willing to liquidate $500,000 of liquid capital on a gamble. I am not a gamble, Leo said. You are to me, Robert said coldly. And then he said it. The words that had been hanging in the air of our house for 15 years. Unspoken but always felt. Look, Leo, if you were my biological son, if you were my blood, maybe I'd feel differently. Maybe I'd see it as securing my legacy, passing the torch. Robert shrugged, as if stating a simple fact about the weather. But you're not. You're adopted. You have no sterling DNA in you. Why should I drain my hard-earned fortune on another man's bloodline? It's bad business. Chapter 3, The Checkmate. The silence that followed was so loud it hurt my ears. I stood up so fast my chair fell backward with a crash. How dare you? I whispered. Robert, how dare you? He is our son. We signed the papers. We raised him. You raised him, Elena, Robert corrected calmly. I paid for him. I paid for the braces. I paid for the camps. I paid for the clothes. I've done my part. But this is extraordinary spending. And I'm exercising my veto. He looked at Leo. You want to be a doctor? Good for you. Figure it out. Take out loans. Join the army. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps like I did. You inherited $2 million from your grandfather. I screamed. You didn't pull up anything. That was family money. Robert roared, finally losing his cool. He slammed his hand on the table. That was blood money. Staying in the family. Leo is not family. He is a charity case that we kept for too long. Leo stood up. I expected him to yell. I expected him to throw his glass. Instead, he was terrifyingly calm. He looked at Robert with an expression I had never seen before. It wasn't anger. It was pity. You're right, Robert, Leo said. He didn't call him Dad. Excuse me? Robert blinked. You're right, Leo repeated. I'm not your blood. Thank God for that. Leo placed his napkin on the table. He looked at me. Mom, I love you. Thank you for everything. But I can't stay here tonight. Leo, no, don't go, I pleaded, grabbing his arm. We can fix this. I have my own savings. No, Mom, Leo said gently, removing my hand. If you pay for me, he'll hold it over you forever. He'll make you pay for every cent. I won't let him do that to you. He turned back to Robert. I'm going to go to Hopkins. I'm going to be a surgeon. And I'm going to do it without a single penny from you. And when I make it, don't you dare claim me. Don't you dare tell your friends at the country club that you're proud of me. Don't let the door hit you, Robert muttered, cutting another piece of steak. Leo walked out of the dining room. I looked at my husband. He was chewing his steak, unbothered. I hate you, I said. It was the first time I had said those words in 20 years of marriage. You'll get over it, Robert said. Pass the salt. Chapter 4. The Departure. Leo packed 2 bags. He took his laptop, his clothes, and the photo of us from the day the adoption was finalized. He left the expensive watch Robert had bought him for graduation on the dresser. I drove him to the bus station. It was raining. I'll send you money, Leo, I sobbed in the car. I'll funnel it through Aunt Sarah. He won't know. Mom, please, Leo said, his eyes wet. Don't. If you send me money, you're admitting that he has power over us. I need to do this. I need to know that I did this. Where will you go? I have a friend in Baltimore. I can crash on his couch until the semester starts. I'll get a job waiting tables. I'll apply for every scholarship in existence. I'll make it work. He opened the car door. He looked so young yet so old. He's going to regret this, Mom, Leo said. One day, He's going to realize that money can't buy the things that actually matter. I know, I whispered. Leo kissed my cheek and stepped out into the rain. I watched him board a Greyhound bus. My son. My brilliant, kind, discarded son. I drove home to a silent house. Robert was in his study watching CNBC. He didn't look up when I walked in. Is he gone? Robert asked. Yes. Good. Maybe now he'll learn the value of $1. It'll make a man out of him. I walked over to the bookshelf where the family photos were displayed. I picked up the framed picture of the three of us from a ski trip in Aspen. I took the photo out of the frame. I ripped it in half, separating Leo and me from Robert. What are you doing? Robert asked, frowning. Just editing the portfolio, I said coldly. Removing the bad investments. I walked upstairs to the guest room. I locked the door. That night I started sleeping alone. And I started counting the days. Chapter 5. The grind 3 years later. The years passed in a cold blur. Robert and I stayed married, but only on paper. We were roommates who despised each other. I stayed because, frankly, I wanted to make sure that when Robert died, I got every single cent so I could give it to Leo. Robert didn't change. In fact, he got worse. He became more obsessed with his legacy. He tried to reconnect with a distant nephew, a biological Sterling, hoping to mentor him. The nephew was a lazy dropout who only wanted Robert's money, but Robert indulged him because they shared a nose shape. Meanwhile, Leo was a ghost. He kept his word. He never asked for a dime. We talked on the phone every Sunday. I'm tired, Mom, he would say, his voice raspy from exhaustion. I worked 3 double shifts at the diner this weekend. I have a biochemistry final tomorrow. Let me help, Leo. Please.
No.
I'm almost there. I made Dean's list again. He was starving himself. He was living in a basement apartment with 3 roommates. He was taking out massive student loans. But he was doing it. I visited him once, secretly. He looked thin. He had dark circles under his eyes. But there was a fire in him that hadn't been there before. He wasn't the scared foster kid anymore. He was forged steel. Robert never asked about him. Not once. If I mentioned Leo's name, Robert would turn up the volume on the TV. Then came the day of graduation. Leo graduated summa cum laude from Johns Hopkins. He was accepted into their medical school on a partial scholarship. I sat in the audience alone. I cheered until my throat was sore. Robert was at a golf tournament in Florida. After the ceremony, Leo hugged me. He was wearing a white coat. He looked like a man. You did it, I cried. Step 1, Leo smiled. Now comes the hard part. Does he know? Leo asked, looking around the crowd, maybe a tiny part of him still hoping his father had shown up. He knows you're graduating, I said. He didn't care. Leo nodded. The last bit of hope in his eyes finally died, replaced by a cold resolve. Okay, Leo said. Then he's dead to me. Chapter 6. The Collapse. 7 years passed. Leo was now a chief resident in cardiothoracic surgery at Mount Sinai in New York. He was a star. People were calling him a prodigy. He had hands of gold. I was proud. So proud it hurt. Robert was 62. He was still wealthy, still arrogant, still convinced he was the master of the universe. Until the Tuesday he fell down on the 14th hole of the country club. I got the call while I was gardening. Mrs. Sterling? This is Greenwich Hospital. Your husband has collapsed. It's his heart. I rushed to the hospital. Robert was conscious but gray. He was hooked up to machines that beeped aggressively. The doctor, a young man who looked terrified, came in with a clipboard. Mrs. Sterling, your husband has a massive aortic aneurysm. It's bad. It's located in a very difficult spot, right near the aortic arch. It's dissecting. Operate then. Robert wheezed. I have the best insurance money can buy. Get the best surgeon. The doctor looked uncomfortable. Mr. Sterling, we can't do it here. We don't have the equipment or the specialist for this specific type of dissection. It's extremely rare and extremely fatal. Then transfer me, Robert yelled, clutching his chest. Where is the best? Boston? New York. New York, the doctor said. Mount Sinai has a specialized aortic center. But what? The only surgeon who performs this specific procedure with a high success rate is fully booked. He's the head of the department. We've already called. He's not taking emergency transfers today. I don't care who he is, Robert shouted.
I'm Robert Sterling.
Offer him double, triple. Get me that surgeon. The doctor looked at his iPad. I can try calling again, sir. But Dr. Sterling is known for being very particular about his schedule. The room went silent. Robert froze. Doctor, who? Dr. Sterling, the doctor said. Dr. Leo Sterling. He's the rising star of cardiac surgery on the East Coast. Do you know him? I looked at Robert. His face went from gray to ghost white. The only man who could save his life was the son he had discarded because of his blood. Call him, I told the doctor, stepping forward. Tell him it's his mother. The helicopter ride from Greenwich to Manhattan was a blur of noise and vibration. Robert hates helicopters. He considers them new money toys. But as he lay strapped to the gurney, staring up at the medic adjusting the foredrip, he wasn't thinking about status. He was thinking about the tearing sensation in his chest. Every beat of his heart felt like a hammer hitting a cracked vase. Thump, crack, thump, crack. I held his hand, not out of love but out of habit, and maybe a little bit out of pity. For 20 years, this man had controlled every room he walked into. He had bought companies, fired thousands of people, and terrified waiters. Now he was just a bag of failing organs in a yellow jumpsuit, terrified of a pothole. Elena, he gasped over the roar of the rotors. His face was an oxygen mask. Don't let him gloat. I looked at him, incredulous. He was dying, and his biggest fear wasn't death. It was humiliation. Shut up, Robert, I said close to his ear. Save your breath. You're going to need it to beg. He closed his eyes. We landed on the roof of Mount Sinai Hospital. The doors burst open, and a team of scrubs swarmed us like a pit crew. They moved with a speed and efficiency that screamed New York trauma. 62-year-old male, type A dissection, BP dropping, a resident shouted. Move, move, move. They ran him through the corridors. I ran behind, clutching my purse, my heels clicking on the linoleum. We burst into the cardiac ICU. It was a world of white lights and beeping monitors. They transferred Robert onto a bed. Nurses began cutting off his expensive golf clothes. His cashmere sweater was sliced open with scissors and thrown into a biohazard bin. Where is he? Robert wheezed, looking around frantically. Where is the specialist? The door to the trauma bay slid open automatically. The room went quiet. The residents stepped back. A man walked in. He was tall. He wore navy blue scrubs that fit perfectly. He wore a surgical cap with little chess pieces on it. He had a stethoscope around his neck and a tablet in his hand. He didn't look like the skinny, scared boy who had left my house in the rain 7 years ago. He looked like a god of war. It was Leo. Chapter 8. Dr. Sterling. Leo didn't look at me. He didn't look at Robert's face. He walked straight to the monitors. Talk to me, Leo commanded. His voice was deep, authoritative. It wasn't the voice of my son. It was the voice of the chief of surgery. BP is 80/50. Pulse 120. CT scan confirms a dissection from the root extending to the descending aorta. It's leaking, doctor, a resident reported nervously. Leo swiped through the CT images on the screen. He studied them for 10 seconds. It's a catastrophic failure, Leo said calmly. The aortic wall is paper thin. One sneeze, and he's dead. Finally, Leo turned. He looked at the bed. Robert was staring at him. His eyes were wide, filled with a mixture of recognition and shock. Leo, Robert whispered. Leo's expression didn't change. It was a mask of professional detachment. Mr. Sterling.
I'm Dr. Sterling.
I'll be your attending surgeon. Leo, it's me, Robert said, his voice trembling. It's Dad. The residents glanced at each other. They didn't know. To them, Robert was just another rich guy from Connecticut. Leo took a step closer. He leaned over the bed railing. He didn't hold Robert's hand. He shined a penlight into Robert's eyes. "Sir, I need you to listen to me very carefully," Leo said. "You have an aortic dissection. Your main artery is tearing apart. I have to replace your aortic root and reimplant your coronary arteries. It is an extremely complex, high-risk procedure. The mortality rate is 20%. In your condition, it's 40%. I can pay," Robert stammered. "I'll donate a wing. I'll give you $1 million right now." Leo straightened up. He finally cracked a smile. It was a cold, sharp smile. "We accept most major insurance plans, Mr. Sterling," Leo said. "Save your money. You might need it for long-term care if you stroke out on the table." Leo turned to the nurse. "Prep him. Hybrid or. I want him under in 10 minutes." He turned to leave. "Leo!" I cried out. He stopped. He turned to me. His eyes softened, just a fraction. "Mrs. Sterling," he said politely, "you can wait in the family lounge on the 4th floor. Someone will update you every hour." "Mrs. Sterling?" I whispered, tears stinging my eyes.
Leo, I'm Mom.
He hesitated. For a second, I saw the boy again, but he swallowed it down. "Dr. Sterling is scrubbing in," he said. "I have a job to do." He walked out. Chapter 9. The pre-op negotiation. They didn't put Robert under immediately. There was a delay with the anesthesiologist. I was allowed 5 minutes with him. Robert was panicking. The machines were beeping faster as his heart rate spiked. "Did you see him?" Robert hissed at me. "He hates me. He's going to let me die, Elena. He's going to nick an artery on purpose. It's the perfect crime." "He is a doctor, Robert," I snapped. "He took an oath. Unlike you, he has principles." "He's vengeful," Robert insisted. I saw his eyes. It was like looking at a shark. "You have to get me another surgeon." "There is no other surgeon," I yelled. "He is the best. You wanted the best. You got him. Now shut up and let him save your miserable life." The door opened again. Leo walked in wearing a mask and surgical loops around his neck. He was holding a consent form. "Everyone out," Leo said to the nurses. "I need a moment with the patient." The nurses left. I stayed. Leo stood at the foot of the bed. He looked at Robert. "You think I'm going to kill you?" Leo stated. It wasn't a question. Robert swallowed hard. The thought crossed my mind. Leo chuckled. He walked over to the consent form on the tray table. "You know, Robert," Leo said, using his first name for the first time, "I thought about refusing the case. I could have transferred you to Columbia. You probably would have died in the ambulance, but my hands would be clean." "Why didn't you?" Robert asked. Leo looked at me. "Because Mom asked me to." He turned back to Robert. "And because I want you to live." Robert looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes," Leo said. "I want you to live so you can see exactly who I became without you. I want you to wake up tomorrow and realize that the bad investment just saved your life. I want you to owe me a debt you can never, ever pay back." Leo leaned in close. "You said I wasn't your blood. Remember? You were right. My blood is steady. Yours is spilling all over your chest cavity. I'm going to fix it. Not because I love you, but because I'm better than you." He shoved the pen into Robert's hand. "Sign the paper. Or die. Your choice." Robert took the pen with shaking fingers. He signed. "See you on the other side," Leo said. He turned to me. "Mom," he said softly, "go get a coffee. It's going to be a long night." Chapter 10. The operating room. I sat in the waiting room for 9 hours. I watched other families come and go. Some cried. Some laughed. I just stared at the clock. Inside the hybrid operating room, as Leo would later tell me, it was a war zone. Robert's chest was cracked open. His heart was stopped, hooked up to a bypass machine that hummed rhythmically, circulating his blood while Leo worked. Leo stood over him for hours. His hands, the hands of gold, moved with impossible precision. He was stitching the aorta, a vessel the consistency of wet tissue paper. Suction, Leo commanded. Pressure is dropping, doctor, the anesthesiologist said. He's losing volume. I see it, Leo said calmly. The tear extends further than the scan showed. It's reaching the carotid. If we don't clamp it now, he strokes out, his assistant said. Dr. Sterling, maybe we should terminate the repair and just put in a graft. It's safer. Leo paused. He looked at the open chest of the man who had called him a charity case. If he took the safe route, Robert would survive, but he would likely have brain damage. He would be an invalid. If he tried the complex repair, Robert could die on the table. But if it worked, he would be whole. No, Leo said. We fix it. All the way. It's risky, Leo, the assistant whispered. It's your father. Leo looked up over his mask. His eyes were steel. This is a patient, Leo said. And I don't lose patience. Clamp. Scalpel. 5-0 Prolene suture. Now. He worked for another 4 hours. He replumbed the heart. He reinforced the walls. He stitched the fabric of Robert's life back together with a skill that money couldn't buy. At 3 a.m., Leo stepped back. Take him off bypass, Leo ordered. The room held its breath. The machine stopped. They waited for Robert's heart to restart. Nothing. Shock him, Leo said. 20 jowls. Thump. The body jerked. Nothing. Flatline. Again. 30 jowls. Thump. Still nothing. Come on, Leo whispered. He reached his gloved hand into the chest cavity and manually squeezed the heart. He massaged it. Don't you dare die on me, Robert. You're too stubborn to die. He squeezed again. Beep. A single beat. Beep, beep, beep. The monitor settled into a rhythm. Sinus rhythm. He's back. The anesthesiologist exhaled.
BP stabilizing.
Leo pulled his hands out. His gloves were covered in blood. Robert's blood. He stripped off his gloves and threw them in the bin. Close him up, Leo said to the assistant. I need a drink. Chapter 11. The ICU. I was sleeping in a chair when Leo shook my shoulder. Mom. I jumped up. Is he? Leo looked exhausted. His surgical cap was gone. His hair was messy. He had sweat stains on his scrubs. He looked like he had gone 12 rounds with a heavyweight boxer. He's alive, Leo said. It was messy. He tried to check out twice. But I brought him back. I burst into tears and hugged him. This time he didn't pull away. He held me. He smelled of antiseptic and sweat. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Leo said, pulling back. He's in a coma, medically induced. The next 24 hours are critical. We need to see if his brain function is intact. We walked to the ICU. Robert looked small in the bed, surrounded by tubes. The ventilator hissed rhythmically. Leo stood at the foot of the bed, reading the chart. He's going to be in a lot of pain when he wakes up, Leo said professionally. Will he be him? I asked. Physically? Yes. Mentally? We'll see. Leo looked at his watch. I have rounds in 2 hours. I'm going to sleep in the on-call room. Call me if the numbers change. Leo, I said. Why did you do it? Really? Leo looked at the unconscious man. Because Mom, Leo said quietly. He spent his whole life thinking everything is a transaction. I wanted to give him something for free, something he couldn't afford. Chapter 12. The Awakening. Robert woke up 2 days later. I was reading a magazine. I heard a groan.
Elena.
I jumped up. I'm here, Robert. I'm here. He blinked. He tried to move but winced. Chest? Hurts. I know. You had open-heart surgery, Robert. You almost died. He looked around the room. His eyes were foggy. Then they cleared. He remembered. The surgeon, Robert croaked. Was it? Yes, I said. It was Leo. Robert stared at the ceiling for a long time. Tears leaked out of the corners of his eyes. Is he here? He's doing rounds. He checks on you every 4 hours. Just then, the door opened. Leo walked in with his team of residents trailing behind him like ducklings. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," Leo said briskly. "Extubation looks successful. BP is 120/80. Excellent." He didn't make eye contact. He looked at the monitors. "Leo," Robert whispered. Leo stopped writing on the chart. He looked at Robert. "Dr. Sterling," Leo corrected him gently. "You saved me," Robert said. His voice was broken. The arrogance was gone, stripped away by the ventilator tube. "I repaired an ascending aortic dissection," Leo said clinically. "It's my job." Robert tried to lift his hand. "I want to pay you. I want to pay for your loans. I want to pay for everything." Leo laughed. It was a genuine laugh this time. "Mr. Sterling," Leo said, looking down at his father. "I paid off my loans 3 years ago. I make $700,000 a year. I have a penthouse in Tribeca. I don't need your money." Robert looked crushed. "Then what can I give you?" Leo leaned in close. "You can give me a patient who follows instructions. Low-sodium diet, no stress, and take your beta blockers." Leo turned to the residents. "Let's move on to bed 4. He started to walk away. "I'm proud of you," Robert yelled after him. It was weak, desperate. "Leo, I'm proud of you." Leo stopped at the door. He didn't turn around. "That's nice," Leo said. "But your insurance doesn't cover my need for validation. It expired a long time ago." He walked out. Robert was discharged 2 weeks later. He left Mount Sinai in a wheelchair, pushed by a hospital orderly, not his son. Leo was in surgery, another life to save, another aortic arch to repair. He didn't come down to say goodbye. The ride back to Connecticut was silent. Robert looked older. The invincibility that had shielded him for 60 years was gone, replaced by a terrifying fragility. He held a pillow to his chest to protect his healing sternum. When we got home, Robert didn't go to his study. He went to bed. For the first time, the master of the house looked small in his king-sized bed. A week later, the mail arrived.
Elena.
Robert called out. His voice was stronger now, returning to its usual demanding tone. "Bring me the hospital bills. I want to see the damage." I brought him the stack of envelopes. He tore through them, looking for one specific item. "Where is the surgeon's fee?" he muttered. "Anesthesia, facility fee, pathology. Where is Sterling's bill?" "Maybe he hasn't billed you yet," I said, arranging his pillows. "He has to bill me. It's protocol." Robert pulled out his checkbook. "I'm going to write him a check for double whatever he asks. He said he doesn't need my money? Bullshit. Everyone needs money. He's just playing hard to get. It's a negotiation." Robert was convinced that this was just another business deal gone sour that could be fixed with enough liquidity. 2 days later, a thick envelope arrived from Mount Sinai Surgical Group. Robert snatched it from my hand. Finally, he ripped it open. He pulled out the invoice. He stared at it. His face went pale. "What is it?" I asked. He handed me the paper. It was a standard itemized medical bill. Procedure: aortic root replacement/valve sparing. Surgeon: Dr. Leo Sterling. Cost: $0. Underneath, in the notes section, Leo had written a handwritten message in blue ink. "Payment received in full 7 years ago. You taught me that I didn't need your money to survive. That lesson was worth more than any surgical fee. We are even. Drive S." Robert crushed the paper in his hand. "He's mocking me. He's writing off $100,000 surgery just to spite me." "No, Robert," I said, looking at the crumpled paper. "He's freeing himself. If he took your money, he'd be your employee. By doing it for free, he's the one in power." Robert threw the paper across the room. "I'll send him a check anyway. I'll send him $1 million. He will cash it. He has to." "He won't," I said softly. "You can't buy him, Robert. You broke him and he fixed himself. You don't own shares in him anymore." Chapter 14. The Liquid Assets. Robert spent the next month trying to force his way back into Leo's life using the only tool he had: wealth. He set up a trust fund in Leo's name. Leo had his lawyer reject it. He tried to donate a new MRI machine to Mount Sinai on the condition that the wing be named the Sterling Family Wing. The hospital board accepted the money, but Leo petitioned to have his name removed from the plaque. Robert was furious. He was pacing the living room, against doctor's orders, ranting. "He's stubborn. He's ungrateful. I gave him life." "No, you didn't," I said from the doorway. I was holding a suitcase. Robert stopped pacing. He looked at the suitcase. Then he looked at me. "Going on a trip?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "A permanent one." "What are you talking about?" "I'm leaving you, Robert." He laughed. It was a nervous, incredulous sound. "Elena, don't be dramatic. You've been threatening to leave for 20 years. You'll never leave. You like the lifestyle too much. The house, the club, the cars." "I stayed for Leo," I said calmly. "I stayed to protect him from you. Then, after he left, I stayed to make sure you didn't spend his inheritance on your vanity projects. But now," I looked around the opulent, cold house. "Now Leo is rich. He doesn't need your inheritance. And he doesn't need my protection. He's the strongest man I know." "You can't leave me," Robert sputtered, clutching his chest theatrically. "I'm recovering from heart surgery. I need care." "You have nurses," I said. "You can afford the best. You told Leo that blood matters, Robert. Well, I'm not your blood either. I'm just an investment you made 30 years ago, and I'm cashing out." I placed a folder on the table. "These are the divorce papers. I'm taking half. Not because I'm greedy, but because I'm going to donate my half to the foster care system that gave us Leo. I'm going to make sure no other kid has to hear that they aren't worth the investment." Robert stared at me. For the first time, I saw true fear in his eyes. Not the fear of death, he had faced that. This was the fear of irrelevance. The fear of an empty room. "Elena," he whispered, "if you leave, I'll be alone." "You've been alone for years, Robert," I said. "You just had people in the house to watch you be alone." I picked up my suitcase. I walked to the door. "Goodbye, Robert. Try not to stress. It's bad for the stitches." Chapter 15. The New Portfolio. I moved to a small apartment in Manhattan, 10 blocks from Mount Sinai. It was small, noisy, and perfect. I grew herbs in the window box. I volunteered at the library. And every Tuesday night, Leo came over for dinner. He didn't come as a doctor. He came as my son. He wore jeans and a t-shirt. He looked tired, he was always tired, but he was happy. One Tuesday, 6 months after I left Robert, Leo brought a guest. "Mom," Leo said, standing in my doorway, looking nervous. "This is Sarah. She's a pediatric nurse." Sarah was lovely. She had warm eyes and a laugh that filled my tiny kitchen. She looked at Leo like he was the sun. We ate lasagna. We laughed. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about ROI. After dinner, Sarah went to the bathroom. Leo sat at the table, tracing the pattern on the tablecloth. "He called me today," Leo said. "Robert." "Yeah." He called the hospital switchboard. He sounded old. "Mom, what did he want?" "He wanted to know if I was happy," Leo said. "He asked if I needed anything. He said he finally bought that boat he always wanted." "What did you say?" "I told him I was happy. I told him I didn't need anything." Leo paused. "And I told him to enjoy the boat." "That was kind of you." "I'm not angry anymore," Leo said, looking up at me. "I used to be so angry. I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to shove my success in his face. But when I had my hands inside his chest, when I held his heart, I just felt sad for him." Leo took a sip of water. "He has a heart, Mom. It beats, pumps blood. But that's all it does. It's just a pump. He never figured out how to use it for anything else." Epilogue. The real blood. 5 years later, the waiting room of Mount Sinai was quiet. I sat next to Leo. He wasn't wearing scrubs. He was wearing civilian clothes, and he was chewing his fingernails. Sit down, Leo. I laughed. You're making me nervous. You're a surgeon, you've seen this 1,000 times. It's different when it's yours, he muttered. The doors opened. A nurse peeked out. Dr. Sterling? You can come in now. We rushed into the birthing suite. Sarah was lying in the bed, exhausted, sweaty, and glowing. In her arms was a tiny bundle wrapped in a blanket with pink and blue stripes. Leo walked over. He moved with the reverence of a man entering a cathedral. It's a boy, Sarah whispered. Leo reached out. His hands, the hands that had saved hundreds of lives, the hands that had stitched his father's heart back together, trembled as he took his son. He looked down at the baby. The baby had Leo's dark eyes.
Leo whispered.
Hi there. I stood beside him, looking at my grandson. He looks just like you, I said. Leo looked up at me. There were tears running down his face. He has my blood, Leo said. But that's not why I love him. He kissed the baby's forehead. I love him because he's here, because he's ours. The end. Scene, the other side of town. In a large, empty mansion in Connecticut, Robert Sterling sat alone in his study. The house was perfectly quiet. The maid had gone home for the day. Robert looked at the wall where the family photos used to be. There were empty hooks. He poured himself a glass of scotch. He took a sip. Tasted expensive. Tasted perfect. He looked at his phone. He typed a text message to his nephew, the dropout, transferring $5,000 to your account. Come visit this weekend. He pressed send. He waited. 3 dots appeared. Taychek's Uncle Rob. Can't this weekend. Busy. Robert put the phone down. He took another sip of scotch. He placed his hand over his chest, feeling the steady, rhythmic thump of the heart his son had fixed. It beat perfectly. Thump, thump, thump. It was a perfect machine working in a vacuum. Robert closed his eyes and listened to the sound of being right and being absolutely, completely alone.